With just 4 major feature films under his belt, Damien Chazelle, in my opinion, Anthony, is one of the most promising and exciting filmmakers of his generation. The youngest ever to win the Best Director Award at the Academy Awards, I believe 31 years old when he won it for La La Land. Let's break down his career, his filmography, his style, the music, the themes, the characters, everything we love about Damien Chazelle films.
What's up, movie friends? Welcome back to Raiders of the Lost podcast, the ultimate film and TV podcast. And we thought we'd do an amazing director spotlight on one of the best directors of his generation, Damien Chazelle, who, with, like James said earlier, with only 4 films, has proven himself to be one of the most electrifying, talented directors of his age group. When you look at what he's done with his 4 films, different genres, different stories, but he's still got such a great, strong storytelling presence. He knows how to direct a film. He sticks to classical filmmaking and combines it with contemporary technology and new styles to create a filmmaking style that is wholly his own, and he can adapt to any kind of device, storytelling, setting, environment, and location. I think that with Whiplash, he just shot off like a rocket ship. And he really hasn't slowed down. He keeps pushing himself as a filmmaker, with Babylon being the biggest undertaking he's ever had, even after movies like First Man and La La Land. And his storytelling, combined with unbelievable filmmaking, has created a filmography that's so impressive. When I think about directors in their first 4 films recently, not all time, but like just in the last 15 years or so, it's Chazelle and Robert Eggers are my 2 number ones.
I think so. That's a good list. I think Chazelle clearly, just from a directing standpoint and filmmaking standpoint, has the technical skills of someone well beyond his years, someone who's just been studying the craft for such a long time, and a mastery at such a young age is just such a phenomenal thing with this guy. And even with Whiplash, you can see the skill and the precision, the style developed so young and early. He had a movie called Guy and Madeline on a Park Bench that came out in 2009 and premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival. It's an 80-minute movie he did for, I think, around $50,000, $60,000. Very low budgets, black and white film, obviously centered around a jazz musician, a trumpeter, and his girlfriend who's a waitress. And not many people have seen that. I don't think it really had much of a theatrical release. So we're mostly going to be talking about, obviously, Whiplash in 2014.
So that was like a film festival showing and then no distribution?
I think very limited theatrical release, if any, maybe for like a week or 2, who knows. I didn't really look too much details into it, but he shot a 16mm film.
Great.
Very low budget, micro budget really for a feature. But then obviously we have Whiplash, which a lot of people consider his directorial debut, one of the best in recent years for sure, 2014. And then 2016, his second film major theatrical release, La La Land. 2016, as Anthony likes to say, La La Land.
La La Land.
Remarkable achievement in filmmaking. Massive, massive hit. That movie grossed $440 million.
Oh my God.
At the box office on a budget of $30 million.
Holy shit.
Biggest hit of his career.
Jesus
just
Christ.
Absolutely enormous.
That's a lot of money.
And in his filmography, I think La La Land will be kind of like the Interstellar, the Jurassic Park, where in 30 years they'll be played at the Hollywood Bowl or outdoor screenings. People love this film. It's just going to age so well in his filmography. First Man, 2018, which personally is my favorite Damien Chazelle film. I think it's just so underrated. A bit of a underperformer at the box office. $100 million on $70 million budgets. Not many people talk about that movie anymore, despite the filmmaking being absolutely exceptional.
I never see any posts about First Man.
Whiplash was also a massive hit. $3 million budget, $50 million at the box office.
Funded by Blumhouse.
Crazy. Yeah, that was an early Blumhouse film. And then his most recent film, which is easily his most divisive, Babylon, which does get a lot of flack, but I think there's so much great stuff inside Babylon. His biggest flop, though, at the box office, 2022, $80 million budget, only grossed $63 million at the box office. But he's such a talented filmmaker. He has no problem, working on his next movie, which is in development right now.
But holy shit, did he swing for the fences with that movie?
There's so much I love about Babylon, but so much of it I think missed the mark here and there. But I think on rewatches, Babylon gets better. It's one of those films that I think, misunderstood to an extent, But for me in his filmography, I still think I have Whiplash, La La Land, and First Man above that. Real quick before we continue, check out this amazing F1 poster over my right shoulder inside a beautiful light box. This is movie theater quality stuff from our friends at movieposters.com, the #1 place to get your posters today. Use our code Raiders10 at checkout. You get 10% off your order. Plus, if you use our affiliate link, which we hope you do, in this episode description, our social media bios, click that. That link will get us commission on orders, so you get 10% off with Raiders 10 at checkout. We get a commission of the order. It's a win-win-win. Go to movieposters.com to get your movie posters today from the best place on the internet.
It's such an interesting filmography because he's really tried all sorts of things. And it's funny, I didn't even realize he made a feature-length movie before Whiplash. That's so, like,
5 years before, yeah.
And so the story for Whiplash, it's actually pretty interesting. And we can do this episode, I maybe go all over the place. So
Freewheel it, baby, let's go.
But let's start off with how he broke out with Whiplash. So Whiplash, it was a Sundance Labs project. However, it wasn't, so Sundance Labs, they generally develop short films and help directors produce the film, get connections, put together whatever the short is, and help them pitch it and try to get it turned into a feature film. Fruitvale Station, Ryan Coogler, was a project that was like that.
Talk to Me, right?
Talk to Me? No.
No, what was that?
Talk to Me, A24 picked it up from a short film festival.
I thought they went through Sundance Labs, too.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, A24 producer saw it at a festival and was like, we want to fund you guys.
Short film.
Yeah, exactly. Reservoir Dogs was a Sundance Lab project. So it's a lot of filmmakers that we know today where it came out through the Sundance Labs. However, this wasn't a short film first. Chazelle had written a feature-length screenplay for Whiplash, and he got it into some hands of interested producers, but they weren't sure if he could pull it off. So they hooked him up with Sundance Labs, had him basically, let's make the first, like the big scene. So the Whiplash short film is the first music scene. We get Fletcher, we get the lead character. He's berated and attacked in that music class. That's the short film. So it basically opens when he meets Fletcher in the hallway. Hey, talking about his mom and dad. Goes to the music class. Terrorized. End of short. So it's not really like a short film. It's more like the scene. And through the Sundance Labs, he created that short film, and and that's how he got J.K. Simmons involved with Whiplash. The producers who liked the script, they connected him with J.K. And the Sundance Lab packaged the whole thing, and they made that. And it was a short that was so strong that it won Sundance, the Audience Award for short film. Then he got the green light. Jason Blum got involved. Jason Reitman had been involved with the original screenplay, and that was like the first big producer involved in Whiplash.
From Ghostbusters.
Yeah, exactly, from Ghostbusters. And so, with the success of the short, he was able to make, thanks to funding from Jason Blum, the feature-length version of Whiplash, made on a really small budget of, I believe, $4 million, $3 million maybe. And he showed that he had the goods. Chazelle has the juice. And it was such a step up from the short film. We got incredible filmmaking, amazing editing. I think that Chazelle's editing and the editors he works with are unbelievable, and they really help hone in on the energy of his stories. And Whiplash was such a big coming out party. It's still my favorite of his. I think his Whiplash is, from start to finish, an absolute piece of perfect filmmaking. And so from then on, he showed he had the goods. Whiplash was a huge hit, and he was able pretty much to get the keys to the Ferrari to make La La Land.
What's interesting is La La Land was the first project he wanted to make. He went to Harvard with Justin Hurwitz, his collaborator now. So basically, the Steven Spielberg and John Williams, they're duo. They're the duo. Justin Hurwitz is
the Coogler and Goranson.
Yeah, Ludwig. So like the combos, and Justin Hurwitz and him were classmates at Harvard. They were roommates as well, and Hurwitz has always worked on his music for his films, and he wanted, after they graduated in 2013, he went to LA. He wanted to produce La La Land. Like, he wrote that first. That was his first idea he wanted to do. Wow. But obviously that didn't work out, and Whiplash worked out and ended up being the first film he did. But it's really interesting, like, moving to LA, La La Land's already in his mind, which is, I think, why it was such a great film for a second feature, because he probably had been thinking about it for years and knew exactly how he wanted to do it, and obviously learned so much, I'm sure, from doing Whiplash, the feature.
Like Nolan with Inception.
Yeah, and so, but he also did a lot of screenwriting here and there. You know, he wrote 10 Cloverfield Lane,
Really?
He co-wrote The Last Exorcism Part 2.
What?
He did a rewrite. He was brought in by J.J. Abrams to do a rewrite of 10 Cloverfield Lane. But with the intention of him directing, but
Trachtenberg directed that.
Yeah, but Damien did La La Land instead.
Oh my God!
So
So Dan Trachtenberg, his first film was 10 Cloverfield Lane. So he must have come on board after Chazelle dropped out to do La La Land.
Yeah, and so he came. It's a good way to make a living, while you're trying to get your movies made, is to do rewriting for scripts, and to be in the company of J.J. Abrams to work on movies he's producing. That's fantastic. So he kind of came out. Whiplash, and then doing like a screenwriting until he made La La Land, and now he is so good and so fantastic and such a draw that Ryan directs everything he does.
And man, teaming up with Linus Sandgren, in my opinion, is one of the best director-cinematographer combos in recent memory. With La La Land, First Man, and then Babylon, we're getting so much exquisite, incredible visuals from these two guys that work so well together, and Babylon really is their crowning achievement so far. But First Man looks amazing. La La Land looks amazing. And Linus Sandgren, out of everyone talks about the same two DPs nowadays, Linus Sandgren is never in the conversations of people online talking about cinematographers. But man, he's got the goods. Linus Sandgren, I think, is one of the most talented DPs to come out and emerge in Hollywood in the last 10 years. And what he's shown with his work already, I just can't wait to see what he keeps shooting. Greg Fraser not being involved in Dune 3, it's a bummer, but you got Linus Sandgren stepping in up to bat.
That's your backup hitter?
Yeah. Woo! Holy shit. He's from, No Time to Die, unbelievable. Saltburn, so visually interesting. He's really like a genius cinematographer. And Chazelle, man, they work so well together. They have similar tendencies. Like Chazelle's a guy who, as stylized as his filmmaking is, it's still raw, and he does use a lot of naturalism as well. You see that a lot in his last three films. Even La La Land, very stylish film, crazy visual effects and incredible practical filmmaking blended together to create these unbelievable, sometimes abstract pieces. But you know what? He's making sure he's capturing real sunlight, like the famous dance number on the Hollywood Hills, really shot at sunset, capturing real light and real sunlight and trying to do as little artificiality as possible. So he does this great combination of highly stylized filmmaking with naturalistic production, and it meshes into really beautiful imagery.
He's got such a prowess for every aspect of film, and I think he's so self-aware about how important every piece is to making a memorable film, a timeless film. All of his movies are timeless. In 30 years, they all have great rewatchability. Oh, yeah. All of them, even Babylon, I think, will. And that's all connects to, first of all, a great story. But your characters are integral, and he always has great characters. When we're talking about Whiplash, La La Land, and First Man, focused mostly on two characters. Mm-hmm. So Whiplash, we have Fletcher and Andrew. La La Land, we have Mia and Sebastian. And then First Man, we have, obviously,
Neil
Armstrong and his wife. Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon, and his wife, Claire.
I can't remember.
I believe it's Claire.
Sorry.
And then
Claire Foy
plays the actor. Yeah. And then Babylon was the first time, I think, in his career so far where he's expanded. We have four main characters. You know, we have Brad Pitt's Jack. We have Margot Robbie playing. What's her name? Hold on, give me one.
So we have Margot Robbie, then we have the studio exec, and then we have the trumpet player. So it's 4 leads in that film.
I got the Nellie played by Margot, Manny Torres, the main character, really, Jack Conrad, Brad Pitt, and then Sidney Palmer. So 4 main characters, all different aspects of the decaying Hollywood that's changing so much, and which I liked how he expanded it to 4. But for me, it's sort of like the Pixar rule with Damien. Pixar has like the main 2 or main 3. Sometimes it's a trio, but oftentimes 2.
Yeah.
You know, Finding Nemo, Toy Story, Monsters, Inc. We got mainly two characters that make an incredible story. I mean, Toy Story is an ensemble, but it's really Buzz and Woody are the main characters.
Oh, yeah. We know who the mains are.
So I think he works so well in the realm of 2 main characters, and the character decisions and motivations are always connected. We have characters who are obsessed with something. Andrew's obsessed with being one of the greats. Fletcher's obsessed with finding one of the greats. Their obsession matches. Mia wants to be a great actress and a movie star. It's her dream. Where Sebastian wants to be he's a jazz musician and a pianist, but he wants to open a jazz club. Their paths don't really connect at the end of the rainbow. You know what I mean? They intersect because they're in the same city full of dreamers, but at the end of the day, if they want to achieve what they want to achieve, they have to separate. Whereas Fletcher and Andrew have to work together. And then First Man, not quite the same goals at all. Obviously, Neil Armstrong's obsessed with getting to the moon, but also the void of the loss of their daughter connects them so much, but also drives them apart. And then Babylon, they're all connected through the changing times of Hollywood, in the past and the present all mixing.
Yeah, and I think that what's always true for great filmmakers is they understand cinema's history, and they pull from cinema history. And like Tarantino and any great director, they pull from what's come before. Nolan pulling from Ridley Scott and Michael Mann all the time. And you can see Chazelle has a great respect for great older films, and you can see the inspirations in who he uses as influences. La La Land, obviously The Sound of Music, and a bunch of great silent films of the era were huge inspirations for that film. And then you look at First Man, and it's the right stuff. And the incredible imagery and the high contrast and the harsh shadows and the nitty-gritty filmmaking, and just really doing it for real like they did in The Right Stuff, which is one of the best pilot movies ever, also about the space race and the beginnings of it. If you look at The Right Stuff, you can see where he used that as huge inspiration. And then with Babylon, PTA and Scorsese, you know what I mean? He's seeing what the great filmmakers do, seeing what works, and he's utilizing their tools and their strengths, and seeing what what interests him, and it helps him find his own voice. And I really enjoy his references, his homages, his inspirations, because you can see them in his films, and he's really built upon those in a lot of really cool ways with his own stories.
Specifically with La La Land, Damien Chazelle's favorite movie is The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
No.
But if anyone likes La La Land, it's very similar, aesthetic to The Sound of Music, but it's the aesthetic, the visuals, the characters.
Sorry, Singing in the Rain.
Singing in the Rain.
That's what I meant. Singing in the Rain,
yeah,
not
right.
Sound of Music.
The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, that if you look, even just looking at posters and images of it, it's like, oh, that's La La Land. So he loves the past. You're absolutely right. But also he loves the greats. You can see Martin Scorsese in his style on films like Babylon or even La La Land as well. But I think he recognizes his influence, which Tarantino does as well, but also remixes it and does his own thing. That's what Babylon is as well. It's a big critique on Hollywood, essentially, and reveals in one of those plot points in Babylon is like everything's a remix of everything. Everything's been done before. Times are changing. Hollywood wants to reinvent itself. We're always going through a Hollywood reinvention, but are they really reinventing anything?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not really.
But they arguably haven't reinvented things for a very long time in so many different ways. Obviously, we have great filmmakers coming along, but I think the style and the influences are all over the place on purpose. And I'd love to go back to the style, specifically with the filmmaking and the camera work. It's so kinetic. And so I brought up earlier story, characters, because he's aware of what makes a great film and a great film timeless. And then I think music is so important. And music is obviously essential to Damien Chazelle films with Justin Hurwitz. Just like Steven Spielberg with John Williams in their partnership, Hans Zimmer with Chris Nolan, and now obviously Ludwig. I think great directors understand the importance of music. You don't need music to make a great movie. No Country for Old Men is a great example of hardly any music at all in that film, and it's an all-time great. But with Damien's style and being a jazz musician from the past, and obviously a huge inspiration on his career with Whiplash, working so closely with Justin Hurwitz, who has a brilliant voice and a brilliant vision, their connection, I think, makes their movies so timeless. But then connecting the music to the themes of the stories, specifically with La La Land and Babylon and Whiplash especially, But then also the style of the filmmaking, the kinetic filmmaking, the camera work, the editing all connects to the music in different ways, whether it's the whip pans in La La Land that are a lot of fun, the energy, the improvisation that it feels like with Babylon, just pushing into the trumpet, all these crazy shots, the eccentric shots that connect to the music, to the themes of the story, the outrageous party, the extravagant filmmaking is all part of that as well. So he's able to blend the music, the story, the characters, the style, everything to these beautiful stories, amazing films that will live on forever.
And talking about visuals, first of all, he's really great at capturing iconic images. So I think the image he'll most be remembered for is Sebastian and Mia with the sunset behind them dancing.
Maybe. I think that his eye close-ups will be.
No. I'd say like.
Well,
I'm talking about one. I'm talking about one shot.
Okay, sure.
That's what I mean. Like just one shot, because you see it. I mean, it plays at the Nicole Kidman ad. You see it you see it on supercuts and montage. It's become a really iconic image,
especially when their arms go like that.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I mean by iconic film image.
Sure. Yeah.
And it'll be the image he's most remembered for.
50 years.
I don't think I don't think he'll be able to craft something that's as iconic as that. And you think about things like Andrew's hand going into the ice. I think that's my favorite image is Whiplash.
Yeah, the sideways shot.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. And in First Man, it's like how do you film the first step on the moon? It's a really it's like a challenging thing. Like you could visually think about like how do you shoot that? And he shot that brilliantly with an overhead, with the foot stepping down and then looking at it.
Yeah,
like it's really simple, but it's a really great way to capture that. And then with Babylon, I would say it's Margot lying on the floor with that beautiful sunset pouring in through the glass, and you can see the frames of the glass.
Was she smoking the ciggy?
She's lying down.
Oh, I thought you meant. Yeah. I was thinking of when she's at the party, the center of the dance floor with the red dress.
No, I'm talking about when she's
like in ecstasy.
Yeah, I'm talking when she's lying down. That's like such a great image. He knows how to capture like a very strong visual image that when you think about a movie, you think about that. Spielberg's always been like that too. And on top of that, every one of his films looks different. He adapts, he changes, he tries new things. Whiplash, high contrast lighting, digital filmmaking, lots of intense close-ups, and also capturing how he captures the instruments, so many insert shots. And then with La La Land, colorful, long camera shots, bunch of wandering camera, huge set pieces, shooting it really wide a lot of the time, playing around with color so much in this film with the lighting, whether it be the green through the windows or the jazz clubs or what have you. This is a very colorful film. I mean, and again, with the great wonders in this film, the whip pan wonder is great too. And then you look at First Man. First Man has a real vintage quality to it. And it feels like some of it was shot even on 16 millimeter. I could be wrong, but I think they did dabble in both 35 and 16 mil because there's sequences in that where you see a lot of film grain. So it has like that vibe to it. Really does the aesthetic of it feeling very old.
I think the memories for sure.
Yeah, I think so. And also he's playing around with Terrence Malick-esque naturalism and impressionism, wandering around, following the family, just playing around. And it feels like he pulled from Tree of Life when he's depicting the Armstrong family just living as a family. And then you go to Babylon, extremely stylized, high quality format filmmaking, huge set pieces, a lot of warmth, so much sun and natural lighting from the source of sunlight, and playing around with dusk, dawn, and taking advantage of incredible uses of what your location's giving you for light sources in terms of the sunlight and the sky. And then extremely stylized camera work, the super fast push-in Scorsese style, moving the camera around, whipping around. It seems like he threw everything he had in his tool belt as a director at Babylon. So all of his films, they stand out on their own. And if you looked at it, it's like it doesn't always feel like it's the same filmmaker. I think he's just always been trying things out, experimenting and pushing what he can do and what he likes to do.
Yeah, and I think the editing goes a long way in his films as well. Now, his editor, long-term editor, is Tom Cross. And they're able to craft the scenes so effectively to fit the mood of the moment, I think. You know, when you talk about Babylon, a lot of those sequences are chaotic and maddening, and it's just crazy shit's going on. The opening's insane. It's mental. the extravagance of Hollywood in the 1920s is obviously one of the main plot points, and the editing and the filmmaking, the style, the music all connect in those parts. But then you have your character moments. It's a lot slower paced. You're able to breathe. You're able to connect with Nellie when she's having, a revelation. And then Whiplash, the editing is magnetic as well. So I think that with Tom Cross,
he's great.
They know exactly how to capture the mood of each moment and to enhance them. It's really effective. And I think editing is one of the most important parts of a film that no one talks about. No one ever brings up editing, which is unfortunate because it's really where the movie's made. You shoot whatever you can to the best of your ability, to the best of the vision. Shit goes wrong. You do the best job. Mm-hmm. But the movie is created in the editing process. That's where the movie's made. Whatever your vision of the movie was, what you get is what you get in the editing process. And I think that one of the great strengths to his movies is the editing because it complements the music so well, it complements the pacing, and it complements the frenetic moments, the slow moments, the somber moments, the emotional moments of his films so well. I mean, I think just still one of the best edited scenes in his entire filmography is probably the ending scene of La La Land of Mia and her new husband going into the club, Seb's, and not realizing where she is or whose place it is yet until she sees Sebastian on the piano and the back and forth, the patience of it, the when to cut back and forth between the close-ups and the mediums. It's just so important. But those moments, I'm sure that scene took weeks to edit to get it just right because it's important. And it really makes your hair stand up if you get it right. And that's how important editing is.
And I've always loved his desire to shoot on location so much. Whiplash working on a small budget. They're not building all those sets. They're shooting a lot on location. La La Land. It felt like a real LA movie. It didn't feel like you were on sound stages the whole time. And, Mia's apartment complex is a real apartment complex.
Yeah.
They're dancing in the valley. You know what I mean? And that's what LA looks like. It doesn't look like Beverly Hills. That's what LA looks like. And think about shooting the Wonder on the freeway, on location filmmaking, all the way up to a lot of the stuff in First Man, building these sites, and even Babylon, shooting in the hills, the huge set pieces for the silent filmmaking, on location filmmaking, really doing it for real, going to locations and building sets out of them, and using them as confined locations to really push your filmmaking and trying to figure out how do we film interesting looking scenes in these environments that are real. I always feel like when I watch a Damien Chazelle movie, it's like this is a real place. In La La Land, also going to the Griffith Observatory, things like that. Yes, it goes fantastical in that sequence, but it's built on the groundwork of a real place. All of his locations, they feel true to the real world, and they really insert you into the world that he's built in that story. And so I'm always a huge fan of on-location filmmaking. If filmmakers can do it, they should do it. And they shouldn't always resort to the safe space of a soundstage.
I would like to rank his movies, but also in two different styles.
Okay.
So I want to rank his movies in terms of objectively what you think his best movies are by ranking. But then, subjectively, what is your ranking for your favorite movies of him? Mm-hmm. So I'll go first with my objective, what I think his best movies are.
Let's hear it.
Worst to first. I'm going to go Babylon, First Man, La La Land, and Whiplash.
It's a tough ranking.
I still think Whiplash is his best movie. Mm-hmm. We revisited it last year, and it's just exceptional. It's such great filmmaking on a low budget. And then La La Land, I think, is just such an extravagant film and so wonderful and really relatable and influential. First Man, I think, is a technical marvel, and I love that film. And then Babylon, I think, is also an incredible feat of filmmaking, but I still put that last for objectively where I rank his movies. For objective best.
This is objective best right now.
Not your favorites, the best.
Okay, this is tough. I'm going to go First Man is 4, and then La La Land, Babylon, and then Whiplash, number 1.
All right.
Yeah, that's how I do the ranking.
Now, let's do a favorite version.
Favorites?
So what are now rank Damien Chazelle's movies with your favorites, worst to first. And so mine mixes up a little bit here.
Let's hear it.
So I'm putting Babylon at the bottom. And then La La Land at number 3. Whiplash at number 2. And then First Man is my favorite Damien Chazelle movie.
Why is that?
I think it's just so... First of all, it's underrated.
Yeah.
And second of all, Ryan Gosling's an incredible lead in this movie. I just love space in general. But I think that what he did with this movie, it's so different than the rest of his filmography, which is why I like it so much, I think. I love his films. But to follow a character that's not a musician, I think was great. A great change of pace for him. And I think he needed to pivot a little bit just to give his career a little more diversification. But also the story's sensational. It's, I think, one of the better biopics made this century for sure. And I think technically it's just wonderful. I mean, this movie with the music, the emotionality of the importance of what was happening for the country with the Cold War, the space race, as well as how that impacted Neil Armstrong's family, the way he pioneered and was one of the main, developers of the space program and an essential part and so highly qualified to be able to land on the moon. But just the idea of, like, how do you land on the moon but make it look practical? I think just the last 30 minutes of this movie is just exceptional. But what he does so well is, even though it's about space and going to the moon, it's really a story about a family at the end of the day.
Family.
And a story about family, but a story about loss, a story about grief, trying to find closure, which I think Neil doesn't find until he's on the moon and he drops that bracelet. Like, when he drops the bracelet on the moon, it shows to the audience, despite everything that's happening in that film with Neil, the sacrifices he's making, the time spent away from home, the division happening with his wife, the conflicts in his personal life, it makes it seem like the space racing going to the moon is the most important thing in his world. It's not. The loss of his daughter was the most impactful thing in his life, and his family is the most important part of his life. And dropping that bracelet on the moon, if it happened or not, is just, I think, what the movie's about for me.
I love how in First Man he did a great job capturing the danger of the entire program.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that we don't think about, is like, oh, we went to the moon, but the entire Apollo program, a lot of people died, and that's what the Right Stuff is about the experimentation, using the prototypes, flying these new vessels that they kept creating, and it was a dangerous program to be a part of, and these guys were, like, risking their lives every time they tested a new ship or tested a new jet, and so I think he did a great job capturing how dangerous it was, especially with the prior Apollo mission that had the explosion inside the capsule. Showcasing that was just, like, one of the best parts of the film. So that's something that I really appreciated with that First Man. All right, my ranking of faves. The Damien Chazelle faves. It's a slightly different list from my best. So I'm just going to go with my gut.
Go with your gut, man. How do you feel?
How do I feel? I'm going to go Babylon 4, First Man 3, La La Land 2, and then Whiplash 1.
Give us some explanations here.
Well, I mean, Whiplash is his best, but it's also my favorite. It's I just love everything about it. Babylon, I love the filmmaking, everything about the production, and I really love the concept, and I love a lot about the depiction of Hollywood. But for me, he's always had really incredible writing with the characters and the relationships, the emotions, the intimacy, the character drama. He's always, his other 3 films, like Pitch Perfect, the main relationships and how they evolve. And Babylon, I think, is where he had a misstep with his 2 lead characters, Nellie and Manny. I really liked the first hour and a half of their characters, but at the end of the tail end of the second act and the beginning of the third act, when Manny, after bumping into Nellie years later, decides to risk his entire career to bail her out of a ton of money she owes, and he's only really seen her like 3 times in his entire life over the period of like 20 years, and it's because, like, he depicts Manny as having like a love, like an intense love for her, even though they never really, in my opinion, had a great connection other than a couple of nights chatting. For me, I still don't, and I never liked how Manny risked everything to help her out. because what did she ever do for him, really? And so, and I know Chazelle wanted to go into that whole insane underground Hollywood sequence, which is great. And it's like, how do you get there from where the story is? Nellie and the money and the Tobey Maguire character is how you do that. I get it. But for me, because of the strength of his other 3 films with the relationships between the other leads in Whiplash and La La Land and in First Man, they evolve into an incredible storyline, and they all have incredible arcs together and great resolutions, all 3 of them. I didn't like the arc of these 2 lead characters, what it ended up being in the 3rd act. I just didn't buy Manny like throwing everything away to try and help her out.
No, I feel the exact same way about that. And I think with Babylon, I think Chazelle is a really smart guy and a genius filmmaker, man. The guy is, all of his movies, you could argue in different ways, are masterpieces. Now, with Babylon and with Manny and Nellie, I think with Babylon, something that I think was really bold of him to do with the story and the characters and a lot of the situations, which I think is one of the reasons why it didn't work for everyone, is a lot of it's so metaphorical. I think whether you're talking about the opening sequence of Manny literally trudging through shit from an elephant, which is like a metaphor of like, to make it in Hollywood, you have to go through shit. Like you have to like trudge through the shit, and you have to keep going if you want to make it. And it's gonna suck, and it's always gonna be, there's gonna be shit everywhere. It's chaotic, but that's like the opening parable I see with that film is to just get to the point to kind of be in Hollywood, you have to go through shit, and then it just gets worse and worse from there. And then I was thinking about Nellie and Manny when we were preparing for this episode, and I was thinking like, what does Nellie represent? Obviously in the film, what's happening in the era of Hollywood is it's changing from from silent era to talkies. That's why Jack is becoming depressed. He's losing his star power. He's not the mystique is gone with Jack. Once he opens his mouth, a lot of starlets, it happened to them and stars in the silent film era to the talkies. As soon as they opened their mouth, audiences were like, "Oh, that's what you sound like? I thought you were this alluring, mysterious, creative voice from like a very special place," whereas they just talk like someone maybe from a random part of the country, which is totally fine. But a lot of careers ended and stalled when talkies started, and that's obviously what Jack Conrad represents, and that's why he takes his life in the end. Sorry, spoilers. That's why he goes through intense depression. That's what he's representing, and Hollywood's changing. And I try to look at Nellie, and obviously Nellie is, like we talked about earlier in Babylon, Hollywood's trying to reinvent itself. It often does try to reinvent itself, but this was an actual reinvention where the technology changed and everything's changing for better or worse.
Yeah.
And Nellie is a new young star, and people like how fresh she is, how smart and how much of a smartass she is, and the style and the fearlessness. It translates so well, and she becomes a star so fast. But then the rug gets taken out from under her because she's not like the elites that often Hollywood portrays on screen, right? And so then I look at Nellie and Manny's obsession with Nellie, and Manny is someone clearly revealed at the end of the film as well, when he's sobbing in the theater, someone who just loves movies. He has that conversation with Nellie. I love films. I love movies. I love movies too. He loves movies so much, he'll do anything for them to succeed. That's why he's going through elephant shit. That's why he's taking shit. That's why he's going to pick up cameras in the dead of the summer to try to make it for the sunset
Great
shot.
scene.
He gets put through hell. He gets treated like scum. Because that's what a lot of Hollywood is. You start from the bottom of the barrel unless it's given to you like an inheritance. And so I think with Manny, his obsession with Nellie, I like to look at it as people's obsession with Hollywood. Like the audience's obsession with Hollywood and movies, where they want something from you, but they don't want to give you anything back. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of what Nellie represents, is Nellie's Hollywood, and it'll always turn its back on the audience because it doesn't really care about the audience in a lot of ways. They just want your business, and then boom, on to the next thing. Watch the next thing. And so I think it's like people's obsession with cinema, like us. We've been obsessed with cinema and film forever.
Yeah.
And how we'll do anything for film. We'll do anything for cinema. Our business revolves around cinema. I think Manny is like that naive obsessed with the allure of Hollywood, obsessed with movies, and Nelly represents that. But it's something he can never have because you can never have or own Hollywood or movies.
I get that.
That's kind of like the way I view that.
Yeah.
I still don't love it. I don't think it works super well because Manny was set. Manny had it figured out.
He was the studio exec.
Conquered Hollywood, man.
He achieved his dream, and then he threw it all away. Because of his obsession. Yeah.
And that's why I think all of Damien Chazelle's characters are cursed with an affliction, which we'll talk about when we get back from our brief intermission. Now, before we continue, the best way to support Raiders of the Lost Podcast is to become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. You get access to weekly bonus episodes. The Letterboxd recap every week has now moved to Patreon only. We want to give our patrons more access to more content. And, I think it'd be a great opportunity for you all to enjoy more content. If you love Letterboxd recap, go sign up for Patreon right now. We have 5 different tiers of membership. Patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. You also get other bonus episodes every week, access to the ad-free version of every single episode, access to the Discord. So many great perks there. Check it out. Subscribe on YouTube, of course, is very helpful to us. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. They are integral to our show's success. They add reputability to the show. I love to read written reviews out from Apple Podcasts. I'll get to one in just a minute to immortalize somebody forever. Also, check us out on Instagram, TikTok. We post a lot of content. That's where we get all these cool jobs, interviews, press junkets, early access screenings. It's because people interact with us on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter. Keep engaging with our content. Leave those comments. Leave those likes. Share us in your stories. It's so helpful. And also share your favorite episodes of the show with friends you know or people you love that need new things to listen to. They need a new podcast for the gym, for the car ride. Send them your favorite episode of Raiders of the Lost Podcast.
This episode, of course, is sponsored by our amazing friends at movieposters.com, the #1 place to get your posters online today. Be sure to use our promo code Raiders10. That'll always get you 10% off your order, as well as the affiliate link in the description of this episode and our Instagram bio. That always gives James and I a little cut of the action. They have a huge selection of pretty much every film and TV show imaginable in their poster library. If you want some Damien Chazelle movie posters, they got you covered with all the main posters and alternates. They also have your favorite Hollywood blockbusters, your favorite Hollywood classics, international films, all sorts of really cool alternate prints made by talented artists, as well as collectible items like lobby cards and original movie posters of amazing classic movies. You can also get your movie poster frames there, UV light blocking glass frames that keep your posters protected forever. Go to movieposters.com for all your needs. Raiders10, that coupon will get you 10% off all of your orders, and use the affiliate link.
Let's get into the intermission and start with the movie quotes competition. Anthony, you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Life passes most people by, or they're making grand plans for it.
Life passes most people by when they're making something. I don't know. They're talking about living in the present, though, but I don't know what the movie is.
Below.
Interesting. Pacino?
No, George played by Johnny Depp, says it.
Here's mine. The only place I get hurt is out there. The world don't give a shit about me.
It's a sports movie?
Yes.
Say it one more time.
The only place I get hurt is out there. The world don't give a shit about me.
Rocky.
Nope.
Rocky 2.
Nope. Rocky 3. No.
Cinderella Man.
No.
I don't know.
That's The Wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I was on the right track. Great movie. Guess this movie release year, Anthony. Me, Myself, and Irene.
2002?
2000.
2000. Wow.
Pretty close.
What year did Requiem for a Dream come out?
2000.
2000's right.
I'm seeing Caught Stealing tonight, early access.
Oh, no way. Yeah. That's awesome.
Can't wait.
Let me know how it is.
Not many seats left, but should be cool.
I saw it last night, and I was like, there's no good seats left.
I got like side, not central, but I think it's just gonna be a cool movie. I want to check it out ASAP. There's not much playing right now besides Weapons. Movie pop quiz time. What Stephen King adaptations, Anthony, has Rob Reiner directed?
Stand By Me, Misery, and that's it.
He's right.
Yes.
He's right. Good job.
James, what is the name of Darren Aronofsky's cinematographer?
It's my guy.
What's your guy's name?
I can see him. I saw an interview with him a year ago. Hold on. Matthew Libatique.
Correct.
Yes.
He's the man.
All right, let's get some unsubscribes in there. What do we got, Anthony? I'm going to pull up a 5-star written review from Apple Podcasts. The only
First
place
up,
you can leave reviews.
First up, we got Joe Emerson. Putting Sinners, a film you haven't even reviewed, in your top 3? Unsubscribed. Nate Montgomery. Your spoiler warning for Weapons had a maybe 3-second window. I reached to pause my headphones and it was too late. Unsubscribed. It's on our top 10 list.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. Dawson, on my pronunciation of Guile.
Guile.
Way to disrespect the current WWE champion, Cody Rhodes, by calling him Guile. Unsubscribed. Guile. Ibarra. Unsubscribed for no Mickey impression talking about Mickey 17. I got a job to do. There you go. Neil Campbell. Resubscribed 7 hot dogs. Thanks for clearing that up. I miss Wyatt's Kids, you know, and now I have a reason to rewatch that sketch. We all miss Trevor. Chris Scott. Guile? I've never been so embarrassed for you. Unsubscribed. I'm embarrassed for me too, guys. Well, actually, I'm not embarrassed. I think James is embarrassed more so.
About Guile?
Yeah.
You're the one who said it.
Embarrassed for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm at this point, Anthony, whether it's like a common slang or a funny mispronunciation, I mispronounce things sometimes too, but Guile is like, that was up there, bro. That's like an all-time.
Got some real hate on TikTok. These guys need to relax. It's just a joke, guys.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Someone was like, I'm unfollowing now.
Okay, good. See ya.
Okay.
So you know the name of a Street Fighter character?
Okay. Whatever. Another guy was like, never listening to this podcast. All right. So.
Anthony's not a video game person at all.
Yeah, it's not a video game podcast.
Relax, guys.
It's not what
I got you two. That's the funny thing. Is like I got you on the clip,
Yeah.
and then
and also who puts their stuff online making fun of themselves more so than we do?
no one does except for us.
Come on. Thomas Graham. Glad to see Anthony back. Almost unsubscribed. I'm glad to be back, man. Mustard Doctor. If Anthony doesn't go up to Leo at the premiere for one battle after another and go, oh my God, I'm your biggest fan. I love you, Leo. Then I'll definitely have to unsubscribe. I'll do it for you. Cozy Queen. Guile unsubscribed. Ben Tucker. I can't believe you had the Gillette to not say Guile for Kyle. May you always be roasted for this and forever unsubscribed. Jeffrey. There's 2 of them? Unsubscribed. There are 2 of us. And then.
Always surprises people.
Yeah. That's it for today. Thanks, everybody.
All right, we have a great, extensive 5-star written review from Steven Janutzik, our homie.
What's up, man?
Best film podcast, period, 5 stars. I already had a review, but had to jump back in again for a person who left these boys a 1-star review because they didn't think they did an episode on Sinners, which they did. But this person ended up saying things about them that are just purely untrue. James and Anthony are outstanding twin film boys who are also filmmakers. I think being filmmakers really gives a higher insight to movies for discussing them, which is why this is the best film podcast out there. They will talk about movies most people have never even heard of, which is amazing because you just want to watch those movies immediately. James and Anthony are always up to date, bringing movie news for all the movie and TV news for that week. They are very interactive with their Letterboxd reviews, shouting out 5 listeners' top 4 movies on Letterboxd, as well as so much more. There isn't a podcast out there, I think, that even laughs at themselves from time to time, like Anthony just brought up, creating an inside joke of unsubscribes where they read out things they missed or correcting themselves. It makes for a funny moment to just laugh at the goofy stuff. The boys have so much passion for movies and have worked hard to make this podcast feel like you are part of the conversation with them. Keep up the hard work, boys, and I'll stay subscribed.
Thanks, man.
Steven,
So sweet.
What an incredible review.
What a great guy.
Man, I can't wait to pin that on a wall someday. That's one of my favorites.
Tattoo it on your chest.
I'll tattoo that entire review on my chest.
On your ass.
My ass is not big enough. Just kidding. It might be. Moving on to Anthony. What's your streaming recommendation?
Inherent Vice on Max.
Dude, like deer in headlights for a second there.
I forgot for a second. I was like, wait, what did I pick?
You're like, where am I? I'm Ron Burgundy. I'm gonna recommend The Departed. Just got added on Netflix.
You mean The Departed?
The Departed kid. All right, let's get back into Damien Chazelle.
You're saying about like they're cursed?
Oh, I left you all on a cliffhanger.
Are they vampires? Werewolves?
I think that Damien Chazelle characters are cursed, not with anything supernatural, but instead with obsession. You know, Whiplash, Andrew's obsessed with becoming one of the greats. Fletcher's obsessed with finding the next great. It's kind of a curse and affliction. It affects every part of their lives, turns them against each other, makes them enemies until
they're frenemies,
and then create an incredible solo together at the end of the film. But Andrew sacrifices his whole life, sacrifices a relationship with his father, with his girlfriend. He doesn't despise his father, but he hates anything normal, like his father's life or his
pities
cousins.
his father.
He does. Me and Sebastian both have obsessions, like we talked about earlier. Sebastian wants to be a jazz musician, but also wants to open up a jazz club. Mia becoming an actress. First Man, obsession with getting to the moon, obsession with succeeding. Neil Armstrong is driven by it. And then what are our characters in Babylon obsessed with or cursed with? You know, Nellie is obsessed with being a movie star. Manny's obsessed with movies and becoming a movie executive, you could say, or just making movies happen, facilitating films.
Yeah.
Jack, you could say, what is Jack's curse or obsession? His obsession is with the past. He's obsessed with what he was in the past, what he once was, how he used to be the biggest star in Hollywood. Hollywood doesn't need him anymore. And so that's obviously what happens at the end is why. And then also the other characters are obsessed with, we have Sidney who's obsessed with, at first with getting a career he deserves for being such a talented musician. But he's the only one in Babylon that really kind of lets everything go and just does his own thing. Goes out on his own terms. Leaves the limelight, leaves the sacrifices, the horrible things he has to do, like putting on blackface already as a black man to seem more black because that's what Hollywood wants. Another great metaphor for a lot of the things that Hollywood makes people do. He leaves all of that to go back to what his roots are, to be happier. And so he's kind of like the only one that leaves Hollywood unscathed except for, emotional trauma. But everyone's got a sort of curse or obsession, if you could think of it.
It's great when your characters really want something and they have a strong desire for that thing because it creates conflict. Mm-hmm. It creates and then he puts great obstacles in front of them. Fletcher's, and talk about characters. Fletcher's, I think, obviously the best. The only straight up antagonist he's had in a film is Fletcher, if you think about it.
Yeah, a lot of characters in that movies are technically antagonists to Andrew. His girlfriend's technically an antagonist because she would be an opposing force to what he wants for his goals. Yeah. Same thing with his father.
Yeah. Whereas his other films, it's more that the industries are the antagonists, the difficulties and the obstacles that whatever the industry or that world presents. So for acting, how to break into acting, from being a jazz musician, nobody likes jazz music. It's a tough part of the industry. With Babylon, like trying to become a movie star is a challenge, and then holding on to your artistic integrity and saving your soul. And then with First Man, trying to go to the moon is the challenge and the obstacle. There's really no antagonist in those movies, but it's more of the world is the opposing force for your characters. Whereas in Whiplash, there is a person who is the opposing force, and that's why I think Fletcher is such a memorable character. Let's talk about...
Hold on, can I stay on that for a sec?
Yeah.
Antagonists. Also, yeah, La La Land for sure, the antagonist is the industry. But you could argue that in La La Land, Mia and Sebastian's love is an antagonist. That's an opposing force for what their goals are. Of course, they could just end up and get married and have a beautiful life, but they probably won't achieve their dreams. But their love, their relationship is an opposing force to what their essential goals are as characters, why they're there, what they're trying to do with their lives, You could argue their relationship is an antagonist.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I would say it doesn't become an antagonist until the third act.
No, yeah, but
You
it
know what I mean?
also helps facilitate
Yes.
because it opens their eyes in different ways of how to approach their dreams. And also, if she never meets Sebastian, she never gets pushed to do this audition,
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly. She had given up. So yeah, this is a great point. Let's talk about characters.
Characters.
Chazelle writes great characters, and he knows how to pull great performances out of his actors. You have 2 Oscar wins for movies in his. You have Emma Stone, and then you have J.K. Simmons, incredible performances. Several other Oscar nominations.
23 Oscar nominations, I believe, in his films, total.
Total. Actually, for acting, is it just them 2?
For acting nominations, I'm not sure, but overall, I believe his movies all have 23 nominations.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Gosling got nominated for
Yeah,
La La Land. He knows how to direct actors really well, and his characters are always so fleshed out. And even when you have someone cruel like Fletcher, you understand what's driving him. You might not agree with his methods, but you understand what makes him tick. And his characters are always so memorable. And great writing attracts great actors. That's why he gets great actors, because the writing's so strong. Mia is a great role for lead actress, and that's why
It's a career-defining role.
Yeah, that's why Emma Stone just fucking crushed it, because not only is she a singular talent, but also it's so good on the page. Her story and her sequences and everything about it, very, very strong writing. And I would say, I mean, Babylon's characters are great. It's just, like I said, the trajectory of the story and the plot I didn't love, but the characters are so well drawn out, really well defined, 3-dimensional. You understand who they are, what they want, why they behave the way they do. And also, like, his characters are often, in a way, kind of like outcasts. Nellie's an outcast in Hollywood. She doesn't behave the way Hollywood wants her to behave. She's gruff. She's raw. She's vulgar. They try to train her to be more formal and presentable, but that's not who she is. Andrew doesn't really fit in with the other musicians. He's kind of like a singular person out there. Rivals with the other drummers, obviously, but still, he always feels like he's on his own, even amongst the bandmates. And then Sebastian, he's in a world of mainstream pop rock now, and he doesn't fit in there. Mia in Hollywood's having trouble just making anyone notice her.
She's on the lot, but she's at the coffee shop.
Yeah, and then even Neil, amongst the other astronauts, he's kind of like, he pushes them away, especially the David Harbour character, Buzz Aldrin. He's kind of standoffish. So his characters are often isolated, and they often self-isolate, I think, which is a defining factor of a lot of them.
That comes with obsession.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always love movies that are about obsession with one singular goal or characters obsessed, because it's always a thrilling thing to watch, whether it's sports, drama, anything, like any genre with a character obsession. I love it. It's
The curse.
The curse. But it is a curse in a lot of ways, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because it's like they're cursed because they can't let it go.
Yeah.
You know, Fletcher, he can't let it go. He's throwing chairs at kids in school. Costs him his job. And he can't let his obsession go. And it leads him still to the final performance to just try to make a mockery out of Andrew because he's cursed with this obsession and also wants revenge. But he doesn't realize, I think, at the time, but that's what he needed to do also to create the next great drummer of all time.
All right, let's go through favorite scenes. I want you to pick a favorite scene in each film. So, Whiplash, what's your favorite scene?
Final scene.
Yeah,
It's outstanding.
Final
It's,
scene.
it's one of the best scenes I've ever seen in my life, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the final sequence that I just talked about. It's like 15 minutes, but it's remarkable.
All right, what about La La Land? What's your favorite scene?
La La Land, my favorite scene. I don't want to be cliche, but I think the ending scene is terrific as well. But also, I do love the dance number at the Griffith Observatory. I think it's really fantastic and surreal and super fun. Yeah, you know, I think I'll pick that scene, Observatory.
The Observatory?
Yeah.
If I'm gonna think of, I'm gonna pick a scene in La La Land. I'd say opening scene, the oneer.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say the opening scene. It's great. It's fantastic. All right, first man, favorite scene.
Landing on the Moon.
Nice.
Justin Hurwitz score. Bum 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 bum. I think it's just remarkable.
I would say favorite scene in First Man. That's a tough one. That's a toughie. I would say you know what? Just because it was so shocking, the capsule explosion.
Yeah.
That was just like, oh my God. Because it showed the stakes.
Well, it's shocking because you know it's going to happen. You know the
Yeah.
history. And then you're watching it and you're like, oh my God.
Because you're like, when you're watching the movie, you're like, this isn't the Apollo 13. It's no way this isn't the mission. So something's going to go wrong. And it's so powerful and it's really well done. And then it's just like, they're sealed in and then they're trying to unscrew the screws. And it's just like, oh my God. You don't see the explosion, but you hear it. And you're just like, oh my God. You hear the boom through the walls.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that tragedy's been covered in film and TV before, in documentaries, but it was so visceral and realistic. And, you know, it's one of those tragedies that obviously has been shadowed by other tragedies in the space program. I think the Challenger is still probably the biggest tragedy that the space program has had, probably. This one, that was a terrible one, though.
Yeah. All right. Favorite scene in Babylon?
That's a tough pick, honestly.
What's he going to pick?
My favorite scene in Babylon. I feel like it's got to be a Brad scene because I think he's so entertaining. I think my favorite scene in Babylon is when Jack is talking to that studio head, and he finally understands and is told basically face to face that you're done. Hollywood doesn't need you anymore. Your career's over. Talkies are now the king. You don't have the right voice. You don't connect with the audience anymore. And to see, I think Brad gives a great performance as Jack Conrad. I think it's really underrated in his career. It's really nuanced. And you know, he plays a stuntman 3 years previously as Cliff Booth in Once Upon a Time, so he already did like a Hollywood role. So maybe some people are like, oh, he's doing a Hollywood actor again or a stuntman again. I think that scene's really powerful. And for me, Brad's just so talented, and I think he really delivers on that role.
He has a great scene with Catherine Watterson, who plays his wife in that, because she's a theater actor and she's talking about how the theater is so much better and higher class than movies. And he's like, if you sell 100,000 tickets, if we like, you sell 100,000, if we do that, it's a flop.
Yeah,
he's like, it matters. What we do matters.
It does, yeah.
It means something. And he was talking about how important movies are to everyone, rather than just the rich. He's like, how only the rich and high class get to see theater at that time. And he's like, I make entertainment for everybody, for the masses. Anybody can enjoy what I do. I think that's a great scene in that. But my favorite scene in Babylon, I would say it's got to be the underground, because of how fucking insane it is.
Yeah. It's
so unpredictable. And once you're with Tobey Maguire, he takes you on this ride, and it's like, oh my God, what the fuck? And it's like all based on true facts and everything, and the shit you see down there. It was pretty fun insanity, that sequence. Yeah. I would say that's my favorite in Babylon.
Yeah, can you imagine being around then?
It's nuts,
absolutely insane. The debauchery of Hollywood, and it was just
and even
trying to sweep it under the rug, so they just hanging on this abandoned train station, basically.
Yeah, legit. And the opening with the elephant and the shit. It might seem a little ridiculous because they got the elephant on the truck. It's super funny that the trunk's busting through the driver's and pedestrian seat, and they're just dealing with the trunk, and then Manning, the other guy in the back, trying to push the truck up the hill, but the elephant weighs too much, and the only way to lighten the load is to get the elephant to poop. And so they start feeding the elephant the grass, and immediately it starts shitting like crazy, and it lightens the load enough for the truck to make it up the hill, right? That's actually, it does work like that. Elephants can have like immediate diarrhea if you feed them certain grasses. So that's not unbelievable. What happens in that scene is actually like based on fact of like elephants can have like immediate diarrhea based upon what you feed them.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Elephants and diarrhea.
Yeah. It's a funny way to open the movie.
It's
pretty insane.
Very metaphorical, but yeah, it's pretty funny. Who's your favorite character in Damien Chazelle's filmography?
My favorite character is Fletcher. Fletcher's great. I think he's one of the great villains of all time. And J.K., man, he had been around for decades, but then for him to have a role like this, to show everybody what he's got, man, a career-defining role 20 years into a career, a good career too.
Yeah, he's solid career.
Yeah, and so well written, so well performed. Really, it seems like an unstoppable force of nature, Fletcher. And the movie only works as well as it does because of the character.
He's a great villain because he's constantly challenging the protagonist. He's constantly putting up obstacles and enticing, and he's charismatic and unyielding, manipulative, and unrelentingly harsh. But there's still like that trait, like sometimes he's just like a cool guy.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, man, just
like
relax.
when they're talking in the bar, it's like, oh,
in the hallway before the first class, like, yeah, man, just have fun. Yeah, just go out there and have fun. And he throws a chair at his head. It is, I think, one of the best characters of the century for sure. I think if you make a list of like the top 50 characters in film this century, Fletcher's on the list.
Yeah.
I don't know where he'd be, but he's that good of a character, and he soars. But I think for me, if I'm gonna pick my favorite character, it's tough. But I feel like I'm going
Gosling one.
I'm going Gosling with La La Land, man. He's just so fun. Cool. And cool and relatable because he's talented, but he hasn't made it, and he's funny and sarcastic, but also he's relatable because his views on the world he's got tunnel vision, and he can't see the big picture. And we all have that point where, we're looking at the world through a specific lens, and we're not willing to adapt. But also, if you go too far, you lose who you are. If you adapt too much, if you change too much. So he's a character who needs to change to the modern times, but also doesn't want to lose a sense of his past or his passion. He could just be a career musician forever and tour John Legend and just make bank forever and just sell out. A lot of people sell. There's nothing wrong with that. But he doesn't want to do that. He wants to stay true to himself and his morals and his principles and what he got into music for. And he ends up figuring it out. And I think that's one of the great strengths of Mia and Sebastian is they both figure it out. It takes them a long time. It takes a lot of sacrifice. But to figure it out and adapt and change but stay true to who you are, I think that's why he's such a great character. And I think what Ryan put into the performance is really exceptional too. The technical aspects of the singing, dancing, and piano playing. I think I read an interview with Chazelle like a couple weeks ago, and the first time they sat Gosling down at a piano, him and his composer, like, yeah, let's see where you're at, and they hired training for him, and they watched him play. They're like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to pull this off because they did a lot of shots. They were gonna have a double, do a lot of stuff. But then Gosling trained for 4 hours every day, I think for 3 months on piano without skipping a day.
Daniel Day-Lewis trained him.
First, Daniel Day-Lewis trained. Gosling trained for months, 4 hours a day, every single day. And he was so good at piano that he could do everything they wanted Gosling to do, the character to do in the movie, and then some. Like, he got too good at piano in a good way. And I think that much commitment exudes in his performance of the character. And I think he needed to do that to really understand jazz, to understand music, and to understand Seb as a character.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah.
He did. He became a great motorcycle rider for Plates Beyond the Pines, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he built the car from Drive, the Malibu.
Yeah.
Which I saw this great interview the other day where it was he was doing press for, I can't remember, some random movie.
Recently?
It was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
It was like an old clip. And the interviewer asked him and his co-star, what's your favorite thing you've ever taken from a set? And he goes, I kept my car from Drive. And the audience, his co-star and then the interviewer were like, oh my God, like it's like the coolest thing you could ever take from a set.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Well, he built
and
it.
Then and then the edit cut to him. Bow now 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 bow bow. He's literally me. That's the thing. He's also literally me. Yeah. So when I was watching La La Land, I'm like, this is literally me.
Oh my
the Gosling
God.
effect, man. And what's crazy about La La Land is he wasn't even supposed to be in it.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be, neither was Emma Stone. It was supposed to be Miles Teller and Emma Watson.
Worked out.
I think it worked out for the better.
Yeah.
I not that they're not talented people. I believe Emma Watson was busy scheduling conflicts with Beauty and the Beast. And I think Miles, it was, I read multiple things. I don't know if it was money or something. But I think the chemistry that Gosling and Emma have together, previously working on Gangster
16
Squad.
movies together.
Yeah.
Crazy Stupid Love.
Crazy Stupid Love, Gangster Squad, and La La Land. They are so great on screen together. And I don't know if it would have worked as well with Miles and Emma. Who knows?
I gotta say, Emma Watson, not great with an American accent.
The
Circle.
The Circle. I've never even seen that movie.
It is not American.
Maybe she would have done British accent. Who knows?
Maybe.
I just don't think it would have been the same kind of movie.
Yeah.
But I think it was like one of those situations where it was for the better.
Yeah, I mean, you can't imagine anyone else in those roles.
Exactly, yeah. But there is a reality where Emma Watson and Miles Teller starred in La La Land. There's also a reality where Tom Cruise stars in it as well. As both characters.
I mean, yeah. Why not?
Probably.
Infinite possibilities. Why not?
Yeah, but I think that's why I love La La Land so much. The characters and the music, man. The characters are incredible.
What's your favorite score?
Oh, that's a good question.
Same
I would say, I think First Man has my favorite track. The landing of the moon on the moon. That's the song when they're landing. That sequence I think is just amazing.
With that like sound.
Yeah.
The
bum, the main theme, the bum bum ba na 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 na.
Yeah.
That really comes into effect in a great crescendo in that sequence. But I think overall scores, I'll probably give it to La La Land. But also, actually Whiplash. I'm going to Whiplash. Great album. A lot of the album has dialogue in it too. It's great.
It's a really good album. Honestly, if I was gonna, I think what he did with Babylon is the best he's done.
Hurwitz, yeah.
Great theme, incredible like percussion, brass, really fun. But it's a very catchy score. It might be the best thing he's done, I would say. Babylon.
It's an amazing film.
Yeah,
but it is divisive for a lot of reasons. I think for me, Babylon will grow on me more and more over the years. I haven't rewatched it since it came out.
Give it another watch.
I think I should.
Yeah.
I think I should.
I think we're finally past the days where everyone stopped, like all the super fans stopped complaining about
I
it.
still kind of do.
Yeah. I haven't been on Twitter for a long time.
It's because Spider-Man and Superman are taking all
distracted
the
them.
Yeah.
another day posting that Babylon deserves
Misunderstood masterpiece. There's a lot of misunderstood masterpieces out there, I will say.
I was like, so one of the reasons why I left Twitter, every time, like every week I saw someone post that, I'm like, there's other movies, guys. We get it. We get it.
Babylon's really good.
Yeah.
But who knows? But also City of Stars, man. That song.
Yeah.
That's an incredible song. I would say that La La Land has the best character themes. City of Stars.
What is the best cinematography?
The best cinematography is probably Babylon.
I'd say Babylon.
First
too.
Man's exceptional too, but I think Babylon's
Although I mean, La La Land's got a lot of great. You know, I'll give it a La La Land for cinematography.
But there's some stuff in La La Land that doesn't match completely throughout the film. You know, some sequence, like I don't love the aesthetic of their apartment.
The green light?
The green light and stuff like that. I get it. I like how it's in a normal LA apartment. I think that's great. But I don't love the green light aspects. I understand he's referencing other films. But
Vertigo.
Huh?
Vertigo.
Sure, yeah. I think there are parts of that movie that look amazing, and then parts that are, they're fine.
Sorry, Linus.
They only have a $30 million budget. I get it, and they did a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of expensive things. It's not cheap to walk around the lot and shoot.
I just think, I think the iconography of the imagery is just more stronger in La La Land.
The specific sequences. That's what I mean, though.
Yeah.
Like when you think of like the Griffith Observatory sequence and some of the other stuff, it's like they're so visually stunning.
Yeah, stunning.
Stunning, my
like with Gosling walking on the Venice Pier.
Beautiful.
The purple sky, the duo dance number on the hills, Griffith Observatory, the Wonder opening, but then also the dance sequence with Emma and her friends, with Mia and her friends is great. Great filmmaking in that one, especially the big overhead that drops down. Yeah, there's a lot of great. The whip pan in the bar with them having fun performing. She's dancing, he's playing piano. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff. Yeah, I'd give it a La La Land.
Yeah, but Babylon. I think Babylon looks incredible.
Oh yeah,
incredible.
It looks outstanding.
Yeah, it really is.
Insane.
It's a really good, really well shot.
Sumptuous.
Oh, it is sumptuous.
It's warm.
That's your word of the week.
Sumptuous. That's the thing, is when you sometimes like you start saying a word and you just keep saying it, and in your head you're like, don't say sumptuous again. I said that in my head earlier. I was like, don't say sumptuous today, and I said it.
It's impossible. What's the quote from
What?
Inception? No, I'm trying to think of the quote from Inception. If I say don't think of elephants, what are you thinking of? Elephants.
Elephants. It's because it wasn't your idea.
Nothing simple when you have to put it inside someone else's mind.
Mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling.
Love that film.
Yeah, it's great. Did you know that? You know what Tom Hardy does after filming each day, workout wise?
Well, what?
Austin Butler interview, he said that every day after filming The Bike Riders, Tom Hardy would go back to his place and do 1,000 box jumps weighted.
1,000 box jumps?
I mean, not what is that box jump? Is when you go down and up on the floor?
Oh, burpee.
Burpees, yeah.
There's
With a weighted vest.
Holy shit! So he's doing the actual burpee down, push up and everything?
Yeah, 1,000 times.
The guy's fucking stocky as fuck.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's ridiculous. I might have to do some burpees too. After hearing that.
Not 1,000 though.
Fucking hell.
Jesus.
1,000 burpees.
Holy
He is
shit.
a
No wonder he's gigantic.
strong guy.
Yeah.
Strong guy. He's a thick boy. All right. You want to talk about anything else with Damien Chazelle?
I'm good. That was great.
What's his upcoming film? I can't remember. Let me pull it up.
Oh, his new film that he's in pre-production on?
Yeah.
We talked about it like a month ago. What is it?
Prison drama. That's right. It's a prison drama.
He was gonna do the Evel Knievel film. He is doing the Evel Knievel, or no?
No, he's not.
No.
He's not.
He
'Cause
went back
Leo
to the-
dropped out of it because he's doing the Scorsese movie.
So now he went back to the prison
So
film.
he's doing the prison film. It's in development, expecting to shoot,
Soon.
I think, October this year.
Yeah, I think they're
gonna go into
shooting
production.
soon. Yeah.
Oh, it's Daniel Craig and Cillian Murphy are going to star in it. That's right.
Really? Fucking
That's
A.
right.
I was wondering if it's maybe a remake of Les True. We'll find out. It's untitled right now.
Yeah, that's cool. Can't wait. All right, well, thank you so much for tuning into this career breakdown of Damien Chazelle. I think that was a lot of fun.
That's great. I love the breakdowns. We haven't done one in a while.
Freewheeling, just kind of bounce around topics.
Yeah.
I think everyone knows his filmography pretty well. That is a pretty fun thing to do. But as always, everyone, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. Become a patron today, patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Leave those likes, comments on our content, Instagram, TikTok. So helpful to our engagement and growth. Take care, everyone.
See you next time.
This episode was executive produced by our incredible Chosen One patrons, Nicholas Martin and Jacob Kossler. Raiders of the Lost Podcast is a Mirror Image production.